I think it's a great idea. Why not? I have 2 children. I've got a 10-year-old who is perfectly behaved. I have a 3-year-old. Her nickname is Dynamite. She is wild. Like, for me, personally, if I go on a plane with her, I want somewhere that's designated that I don't feel as much pressure when I'm sat there. I'm not scared of offending the person next to me because children are going to be noisy. It's what they do.
So you're on eggshells because of other people?
Slightly, yeah. I mean, you know, I know that she can disrupt at the best times. I mean, this is a child who will put herself in blue paint to be a Smurf. Like, she's dynamite.
What about people, though, Rebecca would say, well, that's just bad parenting. You need to say to her, you can't do that on a plane. Here's some colouring, engage her with a reading book. You know, it's your job as a parent to stop her being a nightmare.
And I do. And, you know, I've raised one very good 10-year-old, but unfortunately, there are some children who just can't be tamed. I mean, you know, drunk people and all the rest of it, you can threaten them with the law. And trust me when I say I've tried with my 3-year-old, I'll tell her, you know, I'm going to call the police on you if you don't stop, and she pays no attention to me.
So part of your argument is actually you are frightened about being judged as well. You're frightened of what Ruth's just saying there, people looking and saying, oh, she can't control her own children.
A little bit, yeah, but also, you know, I want to be a courteous flyer. I want to be a courteous person to the people around me. I want to feel that they're okay with it. You know, it's a common practice.
So you would rather be surrounded by other parents, other children, because someone else's is kicking off and you don't feel so bad. Do you think they understand? Are we just not understanding enough, Martin, do you think?
No, I think we are understanding. You know, children, you know, are part of humanity. We were all once children. And this idea of segregated travel is like sort of, you know, hark back to the 1950s. It's like we've moved beyond that. You know, surely we should be more tolerant. And, you know, I agree with you. You know, flying with kids is so stressful for the parents because of finger-wagging, purse-lipped, disapproving grumpsters.
Have you been sitting next to him?
Yeah, like Holmes.
You've been sitting next to Martin and his family.
Exactly, who just makes life miserable.
No,
my
makes
sister...
life miserable, that I've paid whatever I paid for my holiday, that I've got 1 week off in the whole year, that I just want to get on that plane and sleep and watch my movie or whatever it happens to be. I just want the choice. I'm not saying anything awful should happen, but I want the choice that people say, Mr. Holmes, would you like to go on a plane without kids? Not necessarily kids get off the plane, but Mr. Holmes, would you like to go differently? Yeah. That's what I would like.
I know it's all about Eamon Holmes, of course. The whole world, every airline.
I paid for the ticket, why not?
Yeah, well, look, if that comes in, great, but that, I think, could be bad PR for the airlines. The airline...
Why?
Because how much would those seats cost? It's all about demand. You know, airline tickets are set by demand, so if those seats cost loads and loads of money because people like you would want them, then how can I afford them? It introduces...
I don't want you to afford them. That's the whole point. I want you and your children... Now, I know you have this theory, for instance, that, you know, oh, if you want that, Eamon, you could do that because you could pay to go business class. Believe me, even worse than sitting in economy is sitting in business, knowing you've paid even more for your ticket, surrounded by rich kids. That's even worse.
Rich kids are worse than poor kids, yeah. But I think you're right as well. If we can't travel without being able to adapt to people that we find unsavoury, don't travel. You know, what about kind of obese people? You know, we've seen that in America. Let's introduce extra pricing because they take up 2 seats. Thrown out of court. Discriminated against children who can't even defend themselves. And often, what if they're ill, if they're taking off, their ears are popping? The kids don't understand what's going on. And the fact they're being unruly is unfair on the parents.
What about on a flight, then, where there's a family-friendly section?
Yes.
And then you say, right, all the children and parents there, and anybody that doesn't have children doesn't want to sit near children.
Family-friendly means completely unfriendly, doesn't it? It means unfriendly with the rest of them. Stick them all down.
It means it'd be chaos. And what do we have, like soundproof glass?
Yes.
Or like
good idea.
Chamber.
That's a great idea.
But isn't the responsibility for parents to make sure their children are well behaved? I mean, seat kicking, for example. All kids will do that. Now, I used to spend a whole flight with Jack because, listen, they pay a full fare once there's
That's right.
2.5 or something. Yes. So, you know, this is not like they're on your lap and you're getting it for nothing. They're full fare-paying passengers. But I used to have to spend, you know, just doing like, no, stop that, stop that. Now, I could have just left him to kick the seat in front, but then it's a parent's responsibility, isn't it?
It's parenting, and that's what it's all about. It's about being courteous to people.
Yeah.
And
I think, Martin, there is a stage. How old are you now?
I'm 46.
Well, I think when you're 56 or 60, I think there may be part of you that kicks in and says, do you know what? I've been there, I've done it, I've made my sacrifices. I'm now at a stage where I don't want to go through this again with everybody else.
So grumpy old man syndrome kicks in, and it means that the rest of humanity has to mould around that. That's not a tolerant society.
Well, come back to me in 10 years' time,
Yeah.
and I look forward to
What
having
about when you're travelling without your children? I bet you don't then go, oh, lovely, lovely toddlers to sit next to. I'll sit here.
I have a large G&T and wear headphones. Where's the problem?
OK, Rebecca?
Yeah, I don't want to be sat near kids. I did a flight from Boston back home just a couple of weeks ago, and if I had to get up from that flight, it was a night flight, I had to go and actually be active the next day. I don't want some screaming child next to me
What if you
keeping me
haven't got
awake.
a screaming child? OK, so I said I worked quite hard on a flight with Jack to keep him occupied, engage in books, toys, whatever, make sure he didn't kick the seat in front. Why should I be lumped in with a load of families then, or parents that can't be bothered to do that, and they say, sorry, but you all have to sit there with all the screaming kids, when I go, well, but mine doesn't scream. That is discrimination, surely.
I think that there's definitely sort of boundaries that you can look at, and I think that an option might be a nice idea, but I do definitely think that there should be a section that's available to the courteous parents who think, yes, my child is wild and I want to go and sit there, please. I'll be there.
Do you think that you would fill a plane if it was an option, a child-free flight, and you had to pay a bit more? Would you pay it?
All I'm saying as a consumer, that will be, at my age and stage, that's the first place that I would look if it was me. But then I just speak for me. Are there other people like me out there?